Hey, good morning. Good morning. This is definitely
Had to make a stop,
a,
and it happened to be Winslow's
a
voice.
different.
But that's what they've been hanging their hat on the last couple of
What is
years.
that?
So that
Oh, that's me. That's me tripping. I was listening to you. What's funny? I was on your page listening to you, and I had the volume up, and it runs through my system that I have, which is interesting. But anyway, good morning for everybody that's joining us. As usual during this time of the year, me and Dwayne and myself, we have our pro football preview, and then later on during the day we do our pro football review. About a month or so ago, Dwayne and myself we started Let's Talk to Sports, where basically we have a YouTube channel, and this is streaming to our YouTube channel. Let's Talk to Sports now, and what we're going to do is just try to bring you a different take than the letter networks when we talk about sports, whether it's high school, collegiate or professional sports, no matter what sport it is. Me, Dwayne and myself been talking sports since the sixth grade, and all types of sports. A lot of people don't know is that Dwayne and myself are big baseball fans, and our teams played last night, and we didn't even talk about it because right now we just haven't been talking about baseball. Also, I know Dwayne is an avid tennis fan, and he usually gets a chance to be able to talk about his tennis, but he hasn't even been able to talk about his tennis within the last year or so, really. Aside from Osaka when she left the Olympics, he voiced his concern and his love for her and the sport and understanding what the pressures that some of our athletes go through with mental illness. And really thank Dwayne for that. And I will say, Dwayne, this is interesting. I was thinking about it when we talked earlier for a second. I told you I'll be back because I had to run out. I thought about you and I said to myself, okay, we have one NFL game extra this year. And I said, oh, we're about to be busy because I know last night Dwayne was watching his Michigan Wolverines. But the crazy thing is, Dwayne, let people in the audience know how busy you've basically been the last 2 weeks and tell them everything you've been doing.
Listen, I'm on the stretch, man. It started at the Battle of the Beach, which was a high school showcase in Ocean City, New Jersey. So let's say, so that was August 28th, I think that game was. So from August 28th through yesterday, I have actually attended 12 high school football games. Like, actually attended in person 12 high school football games, man. So making some good networking, making some good contacts, which is going to be good. Which is going to be absolutely outstanding for let's talk to sports. You know, we making some inroads, and yeah, man. Friday night, I hit two games Friday night. Uh, Went to see the beloved farmers yesterday, and yeah, man. Hey, from the beach of Ocean City to Camden, New Jersey,
Let
to
me ask you, Wayne,
Central
because I know
Jersey, Maryland, and back to Jersey. We doing it.
I know that like I said, me and you've been talking sports since the sixth grade, and I don't think people really understand how you used to how much you're a high school sports fan. And I remember back when we were in high school, how you made it your business. When the Parade of All Americans came out, you would always talk about it, and I'll never forget the time when Othello Harrington was
Harrington.
going to Georgetown. Oh my gosh, boy, you were so excited. You was
I
like, yo,
went
he's gonna be
crazy.
nice. He's gonna be nice. But I want you to speak about before we get into our pro picks and how we feel about the NFL going forward. I want you to speak about why high school sports has always been so important to you.
Well, it's changed, right? But to me, it was the purest level of sports. Um, Not jaded. You know, the NFL can become very jaded. College football now, with the advent of social media, with the advent of AAU basketball, um, I'm concerned about the direction of high school athletics. You're seeing kids like Rutgers got a quarterback, very good quarterback from Kentucky, Owensboro. Kid played one high school game with his high school teammates this year. Said, "All right, I'm out, fellas. I'm going to Rutgers. I can get name, image, and likeness deals." And he played one high school game, and now he's practicing for Rutgers University, actually on the team, same year that he was in high school. That scares me, man.
Yeah,
Um,
that's it's funny you said that because you just brought that revelation to me. I didn't even know that, and that was one of your concerns prior. And when we did have our talks about name, likeness, and image, we both shared that concern. It's funny because you would think that we know that the Supreme Court don't consult anybody, but I think that college athletes and colleges, I think this is the time, and I'm not giving him a plug, but I think this is the time where Sonny Vaccaro, from
mhm,
experience, needs to be consulted with these issues.
absolutely.
Like you said before, that these high school kids, prior to doing this, you get, we live in a country that's capitalism, but please get you an attorney, please get you a
Yeah,
lawyer.
you need to. You need to just cover yourself. Like, yo, in the last 15 to 20 years, you've seen a lot of kids doing what's called gray shirting, which is after December, after the season's over, they have enough high school credits that they just leave high school and they start college in January so that they can be eligible for spring practice, get a little jump on it. But you give up a lot, right? For me, it's 30 years ago this year, senior year of high school was so vital. It was just you were with your friends, you had the prom, you had, graduation, and a lot of these kids forgo a lot of those, man, because it's becoming more like a business, which scares me. But so now you don't even have the gray shirting to where they're waiting to January. You had two top notch quarterbacks. The kid from Ohio State was like, "Hey man, I got an NIL deal that's going to make me almost $1 million by high school. I'm going to Ohio State now." And what about the kids that try to do that are not successful? For every one that makes it, it's going to be nine that don't. And it's important, man. We still got to keep academics at the top of this list, man. I know it sounds crazy, but we do because you could tear your knee, rupture an Achilles, God forbid, have a head injury, and it's over. And you don't
Yeah.
have anything to fall back on. So we got to be very careful with that. But I love the purity of high school athletics because there's some players out there that won't play at the next level, but they're excellent high school players, and the Friday night lights, and it's amazing, right? Because as I said, I've been to about 12 games. I can't remember a time in recent years the amount of people that are attending these games. The
Mm.
crowds have been amazing, and I think a lot of that is due to we outside, right? Everybody want to be outside, COVID, whatever. But it's good for the kids, man. And it's we still got to be careful. In New Jersey alone, there have been a couple of games that have already been canceled because COVID is still in the building. It's still here, and we had some teams that have been shut down. So we still got to be diligent. Still got to wear our masks. I think the games I've been to, it's been about 60-40 people wearing masks, people not wearing masks. And that's for an outside event, so that's pretty good. And people are still distancing and trying to do the right things. But long story short, um, I would watch a Union football game in person over watching a Dallas Cowboy game on TV or a Michigan Wolverine game on TV. It's not like being there, being in the atmosphere, and rooting on these kids because there's a lot more they could be doing. Athletics now is different than when we were kids. We
Yeah,
just want to play.
and
We
you
just
know
want to
what's
play
funny,
and be outside all day.
that is always the
Excuse me.
gap that a lot of elders don't understand. Stop comparing today's athletes and athletics to our day because it's a new day.
New
And
day.
segueing into what we're what our schedule shows about is,
Right.
I really liked that the basketball kind of, I'm not gonna say was ahead of the curve, but with having knowing the NIL was coming out and what most likely would have been the Supreme Court's decision, I like how the G League really helped with a lot of players
Yes.
from high school going straight to the G League and then developing them and then making them draft ready. I know it's a lot different with the NFL, and this is where me and you always talk about the NFL and all their stuff. We say they're king because they literally have an age and a college prerequisite limit to order to even enter the draft. They're not. I don't care if you're 18 and you got the body size to do something. For a lot of people don't know, years ago, was a player out of the Carolinas that was probably one of the most sought out high school athletes named Eric Swan, and he wanted to come straight to the pros. Pros was like,
Mhm.
nah, you still a kid, you still developing, and and I think that kind of helped Eric Swan's pro career with not coming out. He probably would have got eaten alive coming into the
Yeah.
NFL so early.
Jadavius Clowney. Same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
same thing. I think that some people don't realize that a physical sport such as football or hockey, you have to give your body time to develop. You could
Listen,
have a
I'm thankful for the partnership that college football has with the NFL. You're not getting potentially drafted in the NFL until you're 3 years out of high school.
period.
If you talk to any D1 athlete that made that step up from high school to D1 football, they'll tell you it's a difference, man. It's a difference because you're in high school and you're playing against linebackers that may be 6'2", 185 pounds, and run a 4.8 40. And now you're going up against Georgia, and their linebacker is 6'4", 245, running a 4.4 40. It's a difference, man. It's a difference. But we here, and you know what we do. We talk about the league where they play for pay.
Segue into that, man.
Right. And I think Thursday night, and y'all know we both are fans of the teams with the star in the helmet. But if you put that aside, it just shows you how the NFL is just on a completely different level than any other sport, man.
Did
See
they
how
put
many
on?
eyes that was on that game?
Did they put on a great show or what? I mean, when you think about not having fans last year, um, we're still in the pandemic. Most team starters didn't even play during the preseason. I mean, you had the occasional penalties, but when you sit back and really look at the crispiness of the game, I mean, awesome performance. Both teams played really, really well, and I think it kind of surprised both fan bases how crisp the game was. I know that Tampa Bay had some turnover, a lot of penalties that they're probably not used to, but it was really, really good game. I mean, as a Cowboy fan myself, I was excited. I told you, my outlook on the season is it went from optimism, which I'm always optimistic, to very intrigued on what's going forward. I know Dallas always stay in the news as usual. Player hurt already, and one player is suspended until further notice. And it's just like sometimes these players can't get out of their own way. But
Listen,
you know,
Dallas Cowboys is right up there with the Young and the Restless and General Hospital, man. It's a soap opera.
and it's funny because I got a portion of the and I meant to text it to you earlier. I actually have the section of the drug policy, and it's very interesting that he got suspended for so many games because that's like the eighth of the line of violations before you get to getting suspended for games. And
Mm.
it's very interesting. I'm gonna send it to you later.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
intrigued by that. But hey, man, great game. Tom Brady's the GOAT. But I will say this to anybody that questioned Rain Dakota Prescott, he answered it. So we can move on to today's action. 1 o'clock, Jets Panthers. Intrigue at the quarterback position in this game. You got Zach Taylor, who's the second round pick out of BYU, making his pro debut. And he's going up against the quarterback that he replaced. The Sam Darnold goes down to the
yeah,
Panthers.
and it goes back to the NFL knows what they're doing when they
They know
come
what
to
they're
when they
doing.
come to their scheduling. It just so happens that this is the year that the Jets played Carolina. I think Carolina is actually going to blow the Jets out, but I think it's a very interesting game to look at because me and you've talked about it, and I don't think a lot of people really want to give the New York Football Jets credit. They like to say the same old Jets, and I don't. I know me and you don't look at it like that. We just look at
Mhm.
football and what organizations are doing. Woody Johnson was the ambassador of for President Trump during the
President
time. So
Trump.
now, so now he's back full time owning his
Yes.
team. And people may not like what I'm about to say, but if you understand the Jets may have the pieces to one of the great lines in the next 10 years.
Hey,
That
rebuild
line
something.
could be a problem if they gel together quickly.
Hey, listen, they could have barn injury, and you right. We're predicting this out, but when you got Makai Becton at left tackle and Elijah Vera Tucker at left guard, man, that's a left side that may not be matched in the next decade if everything pans out. And one is a rookie and one is in his second year. And you have a rookie quarterback and they're protecting his blind side. So yeah.
And
And
he
they got a
followed
rookie. They got a
and
rookie who I think is a sleeper rookie, folks. I think he's a sleeper rookie. Okay. Running back out of the University of North Carolina, Michael Carter. Remember that name, man. I think he's gonna have a big, big, big career with the New York Jets. I really do.
and they're building their team the way that me and you always talk about building a football team from inside out, build from your
Mm-hmm.
lines out. So I'm intrigued about watching some of the Jet games today, but I do think Carolina, I do think that this is going to be a Darnold game.
Mm-hmm.
I do think Matt Roll is going to allow him to show off and show out,
Now,
using a lot of Christian McCaffrey and Robbie Anderson. So I think they're going to beat the Jets by at least 2 touchdowns.
all right, so here's what I'm gonna say, and this is my disclaimer for the start of the 2021 season. Right, when I pick games, it's gonna be no point spread involved. You know, I know gambling is real. I know some people take it as a business. Some people are very serious about it, but gambling is very near and dear to my heart as far as being able to control it. As somebody who had an issue with it at a certain point in my life, I respected it. I'm fearful of it. So whenever I pick a game, it's no point spreads involved, and it's just for fun. And with all that being said, I'm taking the road team in this one. Jets Jets and Zach Wilson, I trust. Corey Davis rowed a boat, Western Michigan, named captain, and I think he's going to have a big, big day and a big, big career as a New York Jet. So I'm taking the Jets outright.
Great. Great. You got the schedule. I don't have the schedule right in
Yes,
front of me.
we're going to go
You
right
can,
along.
yeah.
Now, also at 1 o'clock, and again, genius scheduling by the NFL. You got the debut of, and we're going to talk about this in back-to-back games. This is how the NFL works, folks. Don't think they do anything by mistake. So you got the Philadelphia Eagles and the Atlanta Falcons. It's the debut of two new head coaches, Nick Sirianni of the Eagles and Arthur Smith of the Falcons. So Jalen Hurt, Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan is 3-0 in his career at home versus the Eagles. I don't know what the heck to expect from the Eagles. Okay. Interested to see what Kyle Pitts does with the Falcons. And I like the Falcons at home with Matt Ryan.
Me and you both like the Falcons. I think the issue with the Eagles is I still, division rival. But one thing I do is I do respect teams. I still think the Eagles' defensive line is still good. Um, it's an organization that is really rebuilding, but they have some serious assets going forward in the next 2 years or so. So I think that the Eagles are doing not a full rebuild, like more of a reset, trying to figure out their quarterback situation going forward. They got 2 first round picks next year. So I think that this year is just gonna give the Eagles some glimpse on what they're going to do and the players that they're going to go forward with. The Falcons, I think, is a team in the same situation, but maybe have a little bit more better players in skill positions, and that's why I think they're going to beat the Eagles today. I think Calvin Ridley is going to have a big game. I think he's been waiting 3 years for this to finally be considered out of Julio Jones' shadow. So I think he's going to have a tremendous game, and we get to see the young stud Kyle Pitts, who's been rated the highest tight end in the history of the NFL draft. So we'll see.
Should be fun, man. Next game on the docket, again, battle of head coaches. Debuts in the NFL as head coaches. You got the Urban Meyer led Jacksonville Jaguars against Dave Culley and the Houston Texans, and we know what's been going on there. Deshaun Watson situation still has not been rectified, clarified. It's kind of amazing that we're at this point with Deshaun. Um, Tyrod Taylor, who's just a pro's pro, gets the start. The Trevor Lawrence era begins for Jacksonville. And a little bit of a nugget from NFL.com that I found very interesting this morning. Quarterbacks selected number one overall are 0-12-1 in debut starts since 2013. I think that ends. I think Trevor Lawrence gets the win today. And just nothing more because I think the Houston Texans, from top to bottom, is a wreck. It's a wreck.
I
It's a
I
mess.
I, I
And I
agree
think
with you.
the NFL, I think it's ridiculous. Hey, kudos to Major League Baseball. Because when they saw something was going crazy with the Dodgers, with the McCord family, the league stepped in and did what was best for the league. And they got rid of that. They made that team, that family give up that team. And ever since that happened, now you see the Dodgers contending every year since Magic Johnson and his whole group has taken over. I think Goodell and the powers that be really have to look at this Houston Texans organization and really have to consider taking it over for the betterment of the league. So I like the Jaguars today to win.
I usually don't say this word, but I agree with you. Ditto, 1,000%. I think that the McNair family has dropped the ball with Houston. I think that and it's funny, every 2 or 3 days I'll ask you, be like, yo, nothing from Watson? And you be like, no, they're gonna drag their feet. And the fact that they said that one report said that Deshaun Watson is cool with sitting out until they find a trade and or the investigation is over. I think he's committing career suicide. I think that these players, you're not hurt, dude. And the best, we always say it, the best ability is availability. You have to play. Deshaun is in the prime of his career, entering the prime of his career. These are his wonder years, so to say. And whether it's this year or next year, it may not be the same. We see players come back from injuries, and they may be the same, but it's a lot that's going to come with him. I think that the NFL Board of Governors do need to step in. I do think they need to take over this team because, at the end of the day, what most people don't understand about the NFL, it is a nonprofit business, and right now the Houston Texans is not good for business. Opposed to the new owner of Jacksonville within the last couple of years, what Saad Khan is for business, him owning a lot of different networks, him being a big businessman out of London, and why he's the owner, why they have two home games a year in Boston, in London.
In London,
I I think that most people don't know is that we may say, okay, Jacksonville got the first pick because they're bad, but at the end of the day, Jacksonville and Saad Khan is good for business. So I definitely pick Jacksonville with you, and we're going to monitor that Houston Texans situation because it will get ugly before it gets better. And it's sad that Tyrod Taylor always finds himself in the
always.
middle of quarterback uncertainty, so to
Yeah, he
say.
always finds himself in the middle of quarterback uncertainty, and I'm glad you brought Tyrod up because that will transition us into the next game. But let me say this about Tyrod: he's a pro's pro, right? One of the quarterbacks we're going to discuss in the next game gets opportunity after opportunity, and he has this Fitz Magic nickname, and the Washington football team is going to win the NFC East because they have Fitz Magic now, and he's on his 10th team, man. Like, he's on his 10th team, okay? I take Tyrod Taylor over Fitz Magic Tragic any day of the week, okay? And yes, I hate the Washington football team more than any team in this league as a Dallas Cowboy fan. But I'm going to put all that aside. We're talking about the Los Angeles Chargers coming across country to our nation's capital to face the Washington football team. You got the offensive rookie of the year from last year, Justin Herbert, against the defensive rookie of the year, Chase Young. New coach for the Chargers. A lot of controversy with the Washington football team this offseason. A lot of people not paying attention to it. But you got a coach that is so pro-vaccine, and he's really been calling his players out about getting vaccinated, which is going to be a big story this year, folks. Vaccination, unvaccination in the NFL is going to be a big story because, as we always said, you can't help us from the tub. And this COVID list grows, and it's not a big issue week one. Well, no, let me take that back. Zach Martin, all-pro right guard for the Dallas Cowboys, missed the game due to what? COVID. So it's still real. But I'm going to go with the Washington football team to win today. It's always tough for teams coming from the West Coast to the East Coast with the travel. And I think defenses are always ahead of the offense to start a season. So I'll go with the Washington football team, even though I'm about to go wash and brush my teeth again and use some mouthwash because I'm picking that burgundy and gold team
It's funny because
to beat the Chargers.
I'm actually picking the Chargers to win the game. Because of some of the issues that you said in Washington, I think that the great line that the Washington football team do have. One of the things that they lost last year was their depth. Their all-time sack leader is an Eagle now, and I think that with Ryan Kerrigan, they had 5 number one players, first-round players, and they used to rotate a lot. So now I want to know what happens with their rotation. Sweat, I don't really think Sweat can play in on that strong side. I know last year was a lot of rotate between him and Chase, but now Chase is going to be primarily on the right. And I think that their defense, it may appear that got better, but their secondary was excellent last year. I think bringing in Fitzpatrick was an interesting choice, given the quarterbacks that was out there, because he's a quarterback that has stumbled around the league because he's smart, but he's been one of the most consistent quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. You never know what you're going to get. So with that, I'm picking the Chargers. The Chargers, on the other hand, is a team that me, you, and Brother Walker always say have talent for days. I was really upset with some of Anthony Lynn's in-game decisions last year that eventually cost him his job. I think that the defensive coordinator got this job. The defensive coordinator of the Rams got this job, we know, because he had a cup of coffee with McVay, but also he was a first-time defensive coordinator, and he coordinated that defense to be the number one defense in the league when he was at the Rams. I think that him being able to coach Darwin James, who's finally healthy, is interesting. He's one of my most feared and lovable players in the league. I love safeties, and Darwin James is, to me, the best all-around safety. He could blitz, he could cover, he could space. He is, in my opinion, the best safety in the league. And Jamal Adams is good, but Darwin is just something different. So I think that, the Chargers, even though they got rid of Melvin Ingram, they got a lot of talent on that defensive side of the ball. And your boy, the quarterback, I know you like him because of how he was picked. And everybody always says who the next great quarterback is. But if you watch this kid is he's done what Andrew Luck did. They came in the league and just showed everybody like you can be a rookie and still be good. And
Yeah.
I just think the Chargers, he got these weapons. He's got receivers, running backs. He's got it all to succeed. And I think one of the things about that organization is that they always draft well. They haven't won the big game, but they always draft well. So I got to pick the Chargers.
Next game, we're gonna segue right into it, and again, it was a good segue by you. We got the Seattle Seahawks traveling east to face the Indianapolis Colts. It's the start of the Carson Wentz era. Um, Darius Leonard, big contract this year. Big. He was the highest paid NFL defensive player for about 3 weeks until T.J. Watt saw his deal. Hey man, Russ gonna cook. Future stepdaddy. I love future stepdaddy. Um, Carson Wentz. I was a fan of him when he came out of North Dakota State. Just don't know that he could stay healthy, consistent. He's back with Frank Reich. That's going to be big for him. Now, I talked about teams going to the West Coast. Historically, from West Coast to East Coast, historically, that's a bad thing, but not for the Seattle Seahawks, who are 11-1 in their last 12 games coming east. So I'm going to say they're going to go to 12-1. And I like Seattle. I like Seattle big today. I think it's going to be a terrible day for Carson Wentz. I'm talking like a 14 of 31 for 178, 3-pick type day for Carson Wentz. That's my bold prediction for today. A terrible Carson Wentz.
Well, the thing that Dwayne and myself, we don't do a lot of pre-production work, and I'm glad we don't because I'm intrigued by this game, but I can't give a bold prediction, and the reason why is because of the defensive coordinator of the Colts is a big favorite by me and Dwayne, and we both love Matt Eberflus. Um, so it's a very intriguing game. I didn't like Dwayne. I'm gonna pick Seattle as well. But I was really bothered with a lot of the noise that came out of Seattle during the offseason, primarily with Russ. I think that the organization has shown him that they've been behind him since day one. I think that 2, 3 years ago, they protected him when they didn't have the skill position players and they ran the ball a lot. But I think that Coach Carroll kind of saved his career because he was getting destroyed those first couple games. He had like 30 something sacks in 2 games. I mean, 3 games. And he was getting punished. And then they went to this conservative style offense. And Schottenheimer, the son, they did good last year. They let him cook. And a lot of it was words that the teams figured him out. Teams figured the offense out. And then Pete let those guys go. And then Russ was upset they were let go. But then when the new offensive coordinator got in touch with Russ and they talked, Russ was happy again. Seattle is a very interesting place for their stars. I think some of the stars, they outgrow the organization sometimes. And being at this, other than baseball and a couple other things going on there, I think they get bored because they don't feel like they're getting the media attention that they deserve as players. So I think some of the players take it out in the organization the wrong way. So I want to really look at Seattle this year. I think they're a very, very interesting team playing the toughest division, that NFC West. But I'm going to pick Seattle, but I think this game is intriguing at the least. I'm going to be shocked if Carson Wentz is back to who he is. I mean, you look at the talent. Carson Wentz has never really been a 3-4 read quarterback. He's been 1 or 2 reads, a lot of RPOs when he was successful, and he's not going to try to run no more. I hope not. I know that he was one of the quarterbacks that you cringed every time he would get sacked because every time he got sacked, he would bend his body, like contort his body down, and you would always be like, why does he do that, knowing he has had back issues. Historically, he's tore both knees, so you're talking about a quarterback that has been beaten up. He has an old man's body, so going forward, we want to look at these two organizations and see where they're going. But I'm gonna pick Seattle as well, Dwayne.
Right. Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry. I had a little bit of a technical issue right here. Okay. So next we have the Minnesota Vikings going against the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm very interested to see how everyone talked about how um, Dak Prescott was going to come back from his injuries and all that. Very interested to see how Joe Burrow comes back from his injury. He was a surprise to me last year. I didn't know that he would be as good as he was. So I'm very excited about that. And so, I'm looking forward to that. I'm partial to Mike Zimmer. Um, I'm not the world's biggest Kirk Cousins fan. Um, I'm not a fan of Zach Taylor as a head coach at all in this NFL. I think if the Bengals are going to do anything going forward, they need to get rid of him. I'm just going to be blunt. I don't think he's ready. It's that Sean McVay influence again, and we. I never remember a coach in Sean McVay whose coaching tree has grown as much as it had with no championships.
It's
Only
funny
like
because it seems like none of the commentators on the other networks and even bloggers. I've never even heard a blogger criticize this guy, and he hasn't won anything. Why is his coaching tree getting plucked? Because they
right.
don't practice hard. Because they're great play call designers. Andy Reid, who's probably one of the best coaches in the NFL right now, has always been a great play designer. But
Mhm.
Andy Reid's game management has always been suspect until he won the Super Bowl. So I don't understand why McVay is getting all this credit as well.
Mhm. So, yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. But yeah, I like the Vikings today. I like the Vikings to take care of them. Vikings have won 4 of their last 5 week 1 games, and it should be good.
I'm gonna pick the Vikings. I don't like what the Bengals did in the draft. I was really really upset because the Bengals didn't. To me, they got the kid what he the kid wanted, but sometimes you have to protect the kid from himself. He's coming back from a major injury, and the offensive line is still terrible. I think that unfortunately the Bengals don't understand how to use their assets properly. You have to protect your number one asset with blockers, and I don't like the fact that they lost Bernard. Bernard was a good running back for them. Somebody who can bail a young quarterback out, and you let him go down there to the best quarterback in the history of the league, which is crazy, because even he sought a guy like Bernard out because he understood the value of having that running back who can catch out the backfield, basically as the quarterback's protector. So definitely picking Minnesota. We how we feel about Coach Zim. Their defensive line could be very interesting. They got Hunter back. They went and got Everson Griffin back. They got the kid that the Giants had, defensive tackle. I'm looking forward to really seeing him. He rebuilt that defense in the last 2 years. I want to see how their defense is going for Minnesota.
Yeah. So it's hey, it's the start, man. Like everybody think they're going to the Super Bowl after week 1, or they're going to be terrible, right? So next game, which I think is going to be the well, I was about to say to be the best 1 o'clock game. I don't want to say that because I think there's another 1 o'clock game, the last 1 o'clock game that we'll discuss. That's going to be a great one. But I'm really intrigued by the Arizona Cardinals facing the Tennessee Titans today. Um, Big year for Cliff Kingsbury, man. We're gonna see. I'm a Kyler Murray fan. He likes to run all around. J.J. Watt is now out there in Arizona, and one of my favorite rookies that I'm keeping an eye on this year is Xavier Collins with the Cardinals. Um, Also, it's a situation where I hear what people are saying, but I'm hearing how Tennessee is gonna have the best offense in the league this year. I got to see that, man. I know they got Julio Jones to go on the other side of Brown, and they got Derrick Henry, but they still got Ryan Tannehill, folks. And I don't know that a Ryan Tannehill led team could be considered the best offense in the league. That's just me. Um, each of the last 3 times these teams have faced each other, it's been by 5 points or less. Um, every once in a while, I like to throw a little wrinkle in there. So I'm gonna go with the Arizona Cardinals today to take that against the Titans.
I think that Tennessee has done an interesting job with being good the last 3 4 years. We're trying to restock and rebuild that defense. I still think that they have not addressed their pass rusher issue in Tennessee. They tried a 1 year deal last year with Clowney, and it just wasn't a good fit until he started getting the injuries. I think that Tennessee um, is trying to go away from what made Tannehill good there, and that ball control, play action offense. I think Tannehill excels in definitely having the best back in the NFL, arguably in the backfield. So I think that if they do try to open up their offense, it could lead to a lot of interceptions, a lot of exposure of Tannehill. I think getting Tannehill, getting the running back them 25 carries a game, limiting Tannehill's throws to 20 passes a game is the best that offense can do. I'm like you. I'm picking Arizona. Just they're intrigued with the intrigueness of Joseph, the defensive coordinator, being able to, as we would say, be a mad scientist with all these players on defense. Getting Chandler Jones back, Buda Baker being an all-world player, getting the relentless J.J. Watt, and then our favorite Xavier Collins. I think that a lot of people are going to be talking about Michael Parsons, arguably so, as the best linebacker to come out. But one of me and your favorites is Xavier Collins, and I think that people are going to see a real three down linebacker, middle linebacker, a true middle linebacker. Because Mike is a little different because he could do so much. You could put him at outside, you could put him at end. But when you talk about a guy that we just 2 years prior lost, Luke Kuechly, I'm not comparing him to Luke Kuechly, but he's going to pop off the screen, number 25 on Arizona. He will be everywhere on your screen today, folks. He will be on every play. I won't be surprised if he leads the NFL in tackles in year one. But I'm
And
definitely picking the.
watch a big bounce back year for Simmons.
Yeah, and it,
With the
and it
Cardinals.
allows Simmons to actually play under the radar,
Yeah.
which is incredible. But I'm happy for Joseph, the defensive coordinator, because I think that he got done dirty in Denver, only being able to coach
He
one
did.
year. So if you want to look at a good young defensive coordinator, coaching a defense, Arizona's defensive coordinator Joseph, and that young defense.
Yeah. So next up, we got the San Francisco 49ers at the Detroit Lions. The Niners have won 10 of their last games against the Lions. The Dan Campbell era starts. I'm a Dan Campbell guy. He's a tuna guy, but I don't know if his act will play in today's NFL. I do like his coordinators. I like Aaron Glenn. I like Aaron Glenn. I like Anthony Lynn, Glenn and Lynn, as his coordinators. So that's going to be intriguing. Jared Goff gets his first opportunity out there, and since his trade from the Rams to the Lions, so he's going to be out there. Porn star Jimmy, leading the 49ers. I'm not buying Shanahan saying he doesn't know who's going to be the starting quarterback. It's going to be Garoppolo. You may see a little bit of Trey Lance today. I don't anticipate that. I like the 49ers. Just take out the Lions.
This is a game, and for you guys that don't understand, me and Dwayne, we're big Cowboy fans. We love the Parcells coaching tree. We love the guys that Parcells coach and how they coach and what they do. So we're both big Dan Campbell fans, as you see. Dwayne and myself, we knew Anthony Lynn was a Parcells guy. Aaron Glenn was a Parcells guy. So you see what type of coaches that he has there. Um, this is what I call the NFL doing a team dirty. With this schedule, this game right here, because no way in hell Detroit will beat San Fran today. I just think that San Fran, given all the injuries last year, they're a uniquely talented team. I don't think they're as overly talented as people say. I think Shanahan is a good play caller. I do think he's a little overrated with some of the stuff that he gets credit for, but I give him credit for developing line play and running backs like his father was a great running back guy, and I think they have the eye for that zone scheme. So I think that San Fran is going to go in there and just it's going to steamroll. I don't like the fact of the quarterback thing. I think that they're doing Garoppolo funny. I think that okay, Garoppolo has been injured, but if you look at Garoppolo, he was one overthrow away from winning the Super Bowl, and everybody pins the Super Bowl on him. But his team did have a 10-point lead.
It's very
So
true.
why nobody's but talking about their defense? So,
Very true.
but they had a 10-point lead in the second half, and nobody said nothing about those players on that defense end side of the ball. But everybody always says Jimmy with the throw,
Yeah.
and you overthrow one of the speediest receivers in the league. I mean, it's inch here, inch here, inch here, inch there. They was winning. They had that great Chiefs team on the ropes with a 10-point lead in the second half. So I think that San Fran's going to steamroll.
Wow. Okay. The last 1 o'clock game today. One that I'm really looking forward to. I'm looking forward to this game probably the most today. And that's the Pittsburgh Steelers traveling to Buffalo to face the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to say it here first. I am picking the Buffalo Bills to have a phenomenal season. I think they're going to be the AFC representative in the big game. And I think they're going to win the big game this year. I believe in Josh Allen. I believe in the receivers that they have, especially Stephon Diggs. Tre'Davious White is my favorite cornerback.
Was he the biggest acquisition last year to a team?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Tre'Davious White is my favorite corner in the league. Everybody knows I love cornerback play. He's my favorite. The Steelers are going to be the Steelers. Under Tomlin, you know they're going to be good. They're going to be in contention, and they're going to make the playoffs, and he's never had a losing season. So, yeah, with all me saying all that, I like Buffalo today at home. I think they're going to beat the Steelers, and they're going to start. Today is going to be the start of a great 2021 season for the Buffalo Bills. As Chris Berman used to say, they always circle the wagons. So I'm going with the Buffalo Bills today.
Yeah, the great Chris Berman always picking Buffalo and San Fran in the Super Bowl. But I'm gonna pick Buffalo too. I think the Steelers are an intriguing team to watch. Number one, because of Tomlin. They're a team that's really transitioning, but they have their next quarterback on the roster, which is a very interesting thing. The Steelers have what we do say a puncher's chance if they decide to run the ball with the kid from Alabama. But even running the ball with a kid from Alabama, you have to play it extremely conservative in ball control. You have to frustrate Josh Allen by keeping him on the sideline. Because if that offense gets going early, it could be a warning sign to the league that their offense could be borderline unstoppable. If they get that running game together in Buffalo, like Dwayne said, they can run all the way to the Super Bowl with no stopping. With that, we'll pick Buffalo too. They could just run to the Super Bowl Dwayne. And it's intriguing because the city of Buffalo is trying to get them a stadium, and for some reason, these stadium teams always seem to be in good contention. They always seem to be good whenever a stadium issue comes up.
I can't remember, and maybe I may be a king of the moment right now, right? I'm gonna jump around a little bit and not go in the order I wanted to go to for the 4 o'clock games because I can't remember in the 4 o'clock window. And again, could be king of the moment because it's like Christmas for me. 4 o'clock games, like 3 of the 4 games that's gonna happen at 4 o'clock today. So I'm gonna go with the game that I don't think is as high powered as the other 3. I don't like the Giants. That's not the reason I'm saying this. I'm just saying when you look at these other 3 matchups in the 4 o'clock window, I don't know which game to watch, to be honest. But first, we'll go with the Denver Broncos at MetLife against the Joe Judge-led Giants. Saquon Barkley comes back today. I don't have much on this game. I'm just going to say the Giants win because they're the home team. I don't have much on it.
Um,
I don't
the
trust the
thing,
Giants' offensive line. I think Galladay's a great addition. We'll see if Daniel Jones takes the next step. But Andrew Thomas has to play better. Nate Soldier has to play better. Will Hernandez better. I don't even know if he's starting. Shane Lemieux may be starting. But with all that said, the Giants' offensive line has to be better, and they will be challenged a little bit by the Broncos' defense. But I think the Giants win at home today.
I think Dwayne is being a little too nice. I think the crispiness that we talked about on Thursday's game will rear its opposite head in this game. I think the Giants' offensive line might be one of the worst offensive line that we've seen in a long time. And given that they paid Galladay all this money, given the skill positions that the players that they have, what Coach Garrett is going to have to understand, and I know that he gets a lot of slack for the way he coached in Dallas and in the way that he's been coaching, is he has to come out conservative. Because if he allows Jones to just sit back there with that line without tight ends and backers chipping, he's going to get that kid destroyed. I think this is a game where people are going to see the value of having a good defense. I think the Giants' defense, like Dwayne said, from back to secondary, might be one of the best player defenses in the league. They're going to be very sound. They're going to make tackles. I look for the Giants to have one of the top 7-8 defenses of the league of the year, as well as Denver. I think Denver's secondary might be the best secondary in the league. I think Vic Fangio got what he wanted. He got his player from Chicago, Fuller, and he got his guy in Sertan. Sertan is the guy that Dwayne wanted to be on the Cowboys. I think Sertan is going to come out with a bang, with an interception today, and it may be a pick six. I think people are going to be surprised. This kid, a lot of times we talk about pedigree in the NFL, and you'll see it when you see Arch Manning make it to the NFL in a few years, how the pedigree helps. I don't think people understand that Sertan was one of those players that college couldn't help him. And what I mean by that is college was something that was just something he had to do. He has been taught single-handedly how to play NFL cornerback. His hips, his footwork is NFL ready. He is not a rookie, and he's only a rookie because he got drafted. But when people see Sertan in Denver with that defense, people are going to be shocked that he even made it to where he made it to get drafted. They're going to be like, well, why he ain't go number one? That's because corners don't get drafted number one. He may be the best player. People may think that he may be the best player in the draft after this year and definitely today. So I'm gonna. This is a pick'em game for me. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know who to pick. I'm like Dwayne. I'll pick the Giants because they're home, but I just don't trust that line. I don't even know if Joe Judge is the right coach for that team. Um, and I just think that Gettleman and him and what the Giants organization used to be about is not the same thing that they're about. For those that don't know, it's a 4 o'clock game at MetLife, so it's not going to be those typical Giant fans there. It's going to be that the younger fans. It's just the Giants are very. We didn't do predictions for the year. We didn't do a prediction show, but the Giants is one of those teams that I can see them winning 10 games, but I could also see them losing 10 games, 10 plus
Yeah.
games. So
Yeah.
with that,
Well,
we're going to pick the Giants.
we coming up close on an hour, man, and I know we usually don't like to go past an hour, but we still got 5 more games, so I'm gonna try to be quick, even though I don't want to shortchange these 4 o'clock games. I really don't. So we may go a little over an hour, which normally we don't like to do, but I'm gonna jump around on the schedule because I think these last 3 4 o'clock games, the last 2 4 o'clock games should be highlighted. So I'm going to jump right now to the battle of the Bama quarterbacks, Tua Tagovailoa, whatever. I'm just gonna call him Tua. I'm not gonna keep embarrassing myself trying to say his last name. And Mac Jones. The Mac Jones era begins. I'm a big Brian Flores fan. I've been on the Dolphins for a year or two now. Um, I like the Dolphins in this game. I think they're going to cause some problems defensively for Mac Jones. I think Flores and his defensive coordinator are going to give him a lot of different looks. And though he looked great in the preseason, I think he's going to look terrible in this debut. And I like the Dolphins big today, like by 10 points. I like
I,
the.
I I think I'm gonna pick the Dolphins. Like Dwayne said, we're gonna try to speed it up. I'm gonna pick the Dolphins in one of the most ugliest games of the year. This game, these coaches are gonna muddy this game up so bad. Like Dwayne said, like it could either be a 3-point win or a 10-point win. I don't think this is going to be good for viewing pleasures because of how the coaches like to coach and how they're going to try to confuse these young quarterbacks. But I think the Dolphins have a little bit more in their stuff than the Pats. But this matchup is interesting because this matchup, and I hate to say what I'm about to say because it sounds stupid when you're dealing with logic, but this is probably the biggest matchup far as division movement going forward because of Buffalo in their division and the Jets. So this is a big division game on the first game of the year. So interesting game to check out. I'm just not going to watch it. I'll get highlights with this one, the little highlights that they will have, because I would be shocked if it's a shootout.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. So we don't have to worry about the Monday night game, right? Because we're just doing Sundays. So we could like finesse ourselves for these next three games. I want you all to bear with me. I'm going to jump to the Sunday night game and leave these last two 4 o'clock games that I'm really intrigued to see alone. So Sunday night football, NBC, the Red Rifle Andy Dalton leading the Chicago Bears against the Los Angeles Rams, and this is the debut of Matt Stafford with the Rams. Um, I like the Rams in this matchup. I just don't think the Bears. I think Matt Nagy is going to mess around and lose his job because he's going to wait too long to pull the trigger on the Red Rifle and go to Justin Fields. I think Matt Stafford wants to come out and prove to the world that he's been a great quarterback that was just stuck in Detroit. So, not much more for me to say about this one. I like the Rams. I like the Rams big. I think the scheduling people made a mistake week one, making this the Sunday night game. I think after the day of football that we're going to see, especially in that 4 o'clock hour, you got to be a real football fan like myself and Quentin to even watch this Sunday night football game. But I like the Rams.
I cannot pick Chicago. I'm picking the Rams for all the things that Dwayne said. And I feel bad for Andy Dalton, and I feel bad for Matt Nagy in a way, because this is the prime example of having free agency before the draft. They promised Andy Dalton he was going to be the starter. But the way that the draft panned out, they made a draft day trade with the Giants and they got their quarterback. And their quarterback showing promise. So you would think that, okay, why wouldn't they play the quarterback? It's because they promised a guy when he came to free agency. And one thing these coaches do is they don't never want to be considered a liar in that locker room or lose that locker room. So a lot of the Chicago chirping is coming from veterans that know about the promise and veterans that are seated. This kid should be starting. So Nagy put himself in a bad situation, and the organization put themselves in a bad situation. I don't. What was funny is I don't think that Nagy should be on the hot seat, which is a whole different show. I just think that sometimes we expect too much out of players, and if you even go back, and anybody that's going to watch our show, just go back and look at Trubisky's numbers. I don't think he was as bad as people really think he was. I just think that organization expects a lot out of a quarterback, and they've never had that type of quarterback. So I think going forward, Trey Lance, not Trey Lance, Fields, right? What they got, Trey Lance? I forget. I always get the two mixed up. They got Fields. I think that Fields, we need to realize that Fields should never be a quarterback who should be able to air it out. Chicago's a defensive city. They have a tailwind. They have a windy stadium, and they're always going to have to be able to run the ball, play defense. He's not going to be throwing it all over the park. In 2 years,
only reason I disagree is because he played at Ohio State and he played in the Big Ten and he played in bad weather situations, and that boy could sling that rock. I think they got to get out of that old monster of the midway thinking. I think they got to let that boy go. Also, you got a lot of stadiums now are indoor stadiums. They play in a lot of warm weather stuff, so I don't think weather will be that big of an effect on Justin Fields' career. And I'm here to say that I think he's going to be the best of the rookie quarterbacks.
And it's funny. It's
21.
funny.
Not this year,
As
but
you
long term.
as you guys see, Dwayne disagreed with me, right? But just a tidbit. The beginning of the show, Dwayne told y'all. Dwayne rooting for Ohio State guy, and he's a diehard Michigan fan. So that takes a lot for Dwayne to say what he just
Yeah,
said.
well, I
so.
just think Justin Fields is a special talent. And
But it's
I
funny.
just-
It's funny, Dwayne, is that we're picking the Rams, and me and you, we're just not big on Sean McVay like everybody else is.
Yeah.
But the Rams are really in a situation where they have to win that chip this year because
I
they
would
put all
say
their marbles on the table.
I would say this, and probably the reason I'm rooting as hard as I am for Justin Fields is the letter networks. I've never seen them treat a quarterback prospect coming in the league as bad as they did Justin Fields coming into this whole thing. And you had the Dan Orlovskis of the world saying he's the last to enter the building and the first to leave, and he doesn't study. And see, they got to be very careful when they do stuff like that. He of Dan Orlovsky, who what the hell has he ever done in the NFL other than hold the clipboard and run out the back of the end zone? But he's an authority, and Tim Hasselback's an authority, and what have they done?
You know, it's funny, Dwayne,
know?
you said that because they went even so far where they were saying things that just were not true about the kid. And even though Ohio State people was baffled, like where are they getting this information from? It's not true. And that's where, and me and you always talk about it, the college commentators were beefing with their pro commentators because the college commentators, you got Herb Street, who's from Ohio State, where he knows. You got these guys that know, that follow college football, that know. Then you got these pro guys saying they're getting information that really wasn't true. So that particular network, we've talked about it a lot. They send a lot of mixed messages out there, man. A lot of
It's
mixed messages.
producer driven, man. That's why we don't have producers. What you hear from us is from us. We don't got nobody in our ears. So we'll go back to the 4:00 action, which I think you got two good games. I'm gonna say what I think is the best game of the day for last, but you'll have Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers playing against the New Orleans Saints, and this game is actually in Jacksonville due to the effects of the hurricanes and everything. And we continue to pray for the folks of NOLA, New Orleans, and for Aaron Rodgers, and what an offseason it was. For Aaron Rodgers, is he going to leave the Packers? Is he going to retire? Is he going to be the host of Jeopardy? What's going on? His best offensive lineman will not be playing in this game today. It's the start of the Jameis Winston era in Seattle, and I'm really intrigued and very happy for Jameis that he won the starting job and he's going to get that opportunity. I'm intrigued by this game. I'm going to take the Packers, but I think this is a 24-20, 31-27 type game. I think Jameis is going to play well, and but I like the Packers, and I think this is a very intriguing game, very intriguing matchup, and I'm looking forward to seeing these two go at it.
It's two minor disagreements that I disagree with Dwayne. I think this game has the potential to be a 45-38 thrown game. I think that Jameis Winston, those that don't know, he was the first NFL 30-30 guy, and I don't mean the documentaries. I mean 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. I think that they say he had eye surgery last year. But what a lot of people don't know is that Sean Payton, as great as a coach as he is, and as him coaching one of the great quarterbacks that ever lived, Drew Brees was limited with Sean Payton's playbook. Now I think he has a guy who has a rocket arm, and it is going to be interesting. I know that Michael Thomas isn't playing. I just think that Sean is going. If Jameis' decisions is anywhere better than his last performances, they're going to try to air it out. I think that both of these defenses could get winded early. I think it'd be a shootout game. you want to give the shootout to the better quarterback, but I just think that Sean's been waiting a lot for this. I don't think that they're going to have much effects by going to Jacksonville. I mean, that whole little area from Houston, New Orleans to Jacksonville is close proximity, so their fans will be able to get there. Plus, the Jacksonville fans will be able to see two different teams. So, I just think it. I'm going to pick Green Bay like Dwayne, but I just think it's going to be a war. As far as if you like passing offense, this could be a shootout. So I'm going to pick Green Bay as well as Dwayne.
All right, the last Sunday game, and like I said, we'll save the Monday night game when we wrap up tonight's action. What I think is the game of the day, and potentially could be the game of the year in Week 1, and I'm not even trying to hype it up or anything like that. This Cleveland Brown versus Kansas City Chiefs matchup is the must-watch game of the day. I think the Browns are going to have a big year. I think, barring injuries and all that stuff, I think the Browns will be playing the Buffalo Bills for the right to go to the Super Bowl. I know everybody says, the Chiefs, they've been to the Super Bowl, they lost the Super Bowl. Well, people got to understand in this game, that window closes quick. And Patty Mahomes is that man. And I told people, I was on Patty Mahomes before anybody was. Go back and look it up. Even his rookie year, I was telling people about Patty Mahomes. I believe in the Cleveland Browns. I think Stefanski is one of the best young coaches that no one ever really talks about or gives credit to. I like the Browns in this game today. I like their defense. Now you got Clowney with Myles Garrett. They got Denzel Ward back there in the secondary. They got good safeties. Their linebacker play is good. They have a two-headed monster in the backfield with Hunt and with Chubb, and their receivers. Juice Landry, ODB, Donovan People-Jones. Their offensive line is excellent. And I'm big on the Cleveland Browns for today and for the 2021 season.
Dwayne summed it up best. Talent-wise, top to bottom, Cleveland might be the most talented team in the NFL. They have a good young coach. Their defensive line is butter. What they got on that defensive line, getting Malik Jackson and getting Clowney to complement Garrett has the potential of being special. Their secondary is very interesting. I look for Denzel Ward to have a major comeback compared to his rookie year when he was a Pro Bowler and Rookie of the Year. Cleveland has the best offensive line in the NFL. Cleveland has, to me, in my personal opinion, has top 5 skill positions all around. When you talk about backs, tight ends, and receivers, Cleveland is probably top 3. They got a quarterback that a lot of people are not big on, and I'm not really big on Baker, but I think the game that they play, the heavy play action, the rollouts, the bootlegs, is right up his alley. I look for Odell Beckham to have a big year, a comeback year, to let people know that he is still one of the best running backs. And I'm not as high on the Chiefs. A lot of people feel as though the Chiefs rebuilt their line. I'm not really big on how they went about rebuilding their line, getting rid of 3 linemen like that. I think that a lot of times people don't realize when you're dealing with a line, no matter how good the next man is, it's about continuity and being able to play together. I thought it was a telltale sign when a player like Baby Zeus wanted to leave Baltimore, where he was moved to left tackle because Yonder had got hurt. He was moved over there, and then Yonder's back this year, and he still wanted to get traded out. I thought that was interesting that he would have wanted to get traded. And I think that them not sticking by Fisher after Fisher suffered a major injury, I think that was just bad as an organization. Some organizations are just not I just don't think they showed an amount of loyalty to their linemen that they could have, definitely when they got hurt. And this is why during the Super Bowl, the kid was running for their life because they were on their fourth offensive tackle. So I think that their line is going to take a long time to gel if they gel. So I think that he's going to be running for his life. If he thought he was running the Super Bowl, he arguably probably is going against the most all around best defensive end in the NFL right now, and dealing with Clowney, who Clowney has never lived up to the hype that we like to say, Dwayne. But you always got an account for him, which is weird. He isn't living up to the hype, but you have to account for Clowney everywhere he goes. So I'm picking Cleveland. I'm like you. I think Cleveland is going to have a great year. That only the coaching, which they have no reason to, and Baker Mayfield can mess this up because what they have in Cleveland right now is special. Nobody's getting paid a lot of money but Garrett and OD. The quarterback's not getting paid a lot of money. They have a chance to do some special things in the next 2 years. Them in Buffalo, like you, everybody thinks the Chiefs is penciled in to be the Super Bowl contenders. No. Buffalo and Cleveland are real deal, let alone with what Baltimore has consistently done. So I don't think the AFC is nowhere as wide open as people think. So I'm picking Cleveland, and that wraps it up, man.
Yeah, man, it's here, man. Hey, you got one Monday night. I was a little disappointed. Usually you get those 2 Monday night games. This year's only one Monday night, which we'll just throw it out there, That is the Ravens and the Raiders, and hey, the Ravens. That's it.
What's funny is the Ravens organization that Ozzie and them guys created, stability. We both felt sorry for him this last week with the rash injuries. I'm just gonna say it. John Gruden's on notice. And I don't think they're going to win nothing this year. And it's sad because Derek Carr has always seemed like an underachiever. But really, get him out of there, John. If you don't want to use him right, get him out of there.
I will say this, and we'll, I always try to leave on a positive note, but I will just say this. Mike Mayock and John Gruden are good for the NFL. They're excellent for the NFL. But one needs to be back at the NFL Network. And the other one needs to be back at ESPN. That's where they're good for the NFL. They're not good on the NFL in the GM office and on the quarterback. But, hey, we like to end everything on a positive note. And, hey, I got my jazzy girl here with me. And, hey, listen, football's back. It's a celebration. There's a lot of holidays on the calendar, right? Not everybody celebrates all of them, but doesn't make them less important. Today is a national treasure and holiday. Football is back. And as we continue to remember 20 years ago what took place on September 11th, we continue to pray for the families who were affected by the events of those and lost loved ones. And, we're thinking about you. We're praying for you. And I know it's hard every day. I know. But we're behind you.
And remember to like, share, subscribe. We just started Let's Talk to Sports on YouTube. Remember to share the channel. We just getting started, and we have a lot of things, and it may appear that we're behind, but we have a lot in store. We're going to be real busy within the next 7-8 months doing what we got to do to try to get the platform to grow. With that, everybody take care and have a good week.